It's an overcast sky and cold wind which greets the extra early Marble Arch rush hour on Saturday, May the 26th, as 38 of Britain's top racing cyclists move off at 5 a.m. at the start of one of our classic events. This is Europe's longest single-day unpaced cycle race, the London to Holyhead, a distance of 265 miles. Still wrapped in tracksuits and with the benefit of a 4 o'clock steak breakfast, they travel up the Edgware Road in a gaudy procession as most of London still sleeps. The race is neutralised at this point, which means they do not commence racing until out of the built-up areas. Just past Edgware, the red and white checkered flag goes down and the race is on in earnest. Already the riders put on pressure and the entourage of service and feeding vehicles have to increase speed to keep up with the fast-moving bunch. The clock shows that it's 6:15 as the leaders enter St Albans with 20 miles covered. A few moments later, the main bunch streams through the almost deserted town. It's tough going in this first breakaway of the day, as Albert Roberts, up front, soon finds out. Not many miles further, and the riders are together again. Here, the main bunch settle down to the hard slog ahead, with nearly 200 miles still to go. As we track past them, they show no weariness in spite of the buffeting from the wind. Enthusiasts can easily recognise some of the star riders, who are probably thinking of the first feeding station about 10 miles ahead. In spite of the hard work that the bunch are doing, in a few more miles the day's second break of Hitchin, Ryan and Roberts is already a minute up. The leaders pick up some welcome refreshment near Kilsby after 76 miles, and the bunch come through to take their second breakfast with very little time lost. Even the backroom boys in the service cars get hungry, and the ever-ready helpers pass up some more food and drink. 100 miles nearly completed, and the breakaway is still maintaining its lead of 2 minutes. Roberts has had enough, but Hitchin and Ryan keep their lead, having completed the first 100 miles in 4 3/4 hours. no shelter from the bitter northeast wind which still blows into their faces. Down comes the rain as they pass through Atherstone, where an unfriendly bus tries to put them up onto the pavement. Undeterred, they pedal on, trying to cut down the lead held by the two Falcon riders. In spite of the wind, Hitchin and Ryan keep going, doing bit and bit as they complete 120 miles. But their lead is slipping away, and a chasing bunch of 4 riders just ahead of the main field are steadily closing the gap. Just a few miles from the second feeding station, and it's one big bunch again. It was 60 miles alone for the Falcon men, and they're probably happy to be back in the shelter of the main field. They reach the Red Hill feeding station with 130 miles to go as the eagerly awaited food and drink is passed up. Some sunshine, the first of the day, helps to warm the chilled limbs, but there's not much improvement in the weather, which gets colder as they press on into the biting wind. They've left the Shrewsbury bypass and there's no turn again at Whittington. It's straight on at the A5 as one of the road marshals guides them round a dangerous bend. A cheery wave from a customer at England's last pub as the field cross into Wales, where the first rider up Chirk Bank is Pete Riles of Viking, who pulls away in fine style a minute ahead of the bunch. Time to look at the scenery as the main field, with Fairhead and Hitchin leading, take the steep climb in their stride. Riders are left in the race, and 207 miles have gone as they pick up their last feed at Kerrig. There's been high drama in the early part of the race. Unseen by us at the front, Hitchin and Britton punctured, but are now back with the field. Dennis Tarr, who broke his chain a few miles back, is now 2 minutes down. The bunch are reduced to 24 as they approach Betsy Coed with 50 miles to go. Tarr is fighting hard to get back and is now only a minute behind. sort of transport will do after 10 hours on a bike, although this one's a long way from home. And it's cold in them there hills as some wayside supporters try to warm the flagging spirits. It's really wild Welsh Wales with clouds on Snowdon and silence except for the whir of wheels above the whine of the wind and the sound of sheep on the lower slopes. Ryan tries to go it alone, but even without his tracksuit, the going is very hard and he is soon caught by the bunch. Out of Bangor, the welcome sight of Telford's masterpiece, the Menai Bridge, the gateway to Anglesey, which comes into view across the straits. There's only 20 miles or so to Holyhead, and thanks for the reminder, that's been going on all day. Still 24 riders left, and Doug Collins looks back to find that his teammate Dennis Tarr has rejoined the bunch as they hammer over the bridge for the final onslaught. Anglesey lives up to its reputation as the sunny isle, and for the first time in 240 miles, the wind no longer blows against them. Over the last miles, as we arrive at the already crowded Newry Beach Promenade, the battle for supremacy reaches its peak. Yorkshireman Hitchin with Collins and Tarr of Condor-Mackerson are away together for the last few miles. And it's Dennis Tarr who crosses the line to take the £100 first prize, a length ahead of Hitchin with Doug Collins in third place. Most of the other 24 finishers come in fairly close behind, and all receive a hero's welcome, which they richly deserve. Tiny Tarr gets many youthful congratulations and a well-earned drink. His time for the 265 miles was 12 hours, 41 minutes, 55 seconds, or an average of nearly 21 miles an hour. Amidst resounding applause, he mounts the rostrum of victory, and so ends the London Holyhead Classic for 1962. A great race, and we hope the weather's kinder to them next year. The longest single-day unpaced cycle race in the world is already on its way through a sleeping London. The 5 a.m. start has been preceded by steak breakfasts, and the field of 40 are warming up to the task ahead. Mostly semi-professional, the bunch contains many of our top riders. The favourite is Yorkshireman Albert Hitchin of the Falcon Cycles team. Hitchin won this race in 1961 and was second in 1962, but apart from his own teammates, the rest of the field will be out to stop him. Just after 6 o'clock, as the field takes the big climb into St Albans with nearly 25 miles covered. The steepness fails to break them up, and they press on into a cold but promising morning with the mist and heavy dew hanging around the hedges and the country lanes. The pressure mounts a little as they pass through Dunstable, despite the knowledge that the race is 13 miles longer this year, due to a detour because of roadworks, and makes the total distance 278 miles. Of the Mottram team gets the first puncture of the day, but he's soon off again in hot pursuit, getting the traditional helping push from the service mechanics, and as the Chief Marshal drops back to see that he's all right, helps himself to some food. A small group have got themselves off the front of the main field, and they're getting about keeping clear with many an anxious backward glance. Dave Hamilton of the Woodrup Ovaltine up at the front, pushing on the pressure a little bit, trying to keep things clear as the early morning supporters come out to see the riders go through. Riders are still attacking, with Alan Jacob going up to the front with his team colleague Mick Coward helping to pace him along as they come through still with a long, long way to go on this road to Holyhead. Through the early morning mist and another little breakaway clear, but not clear by very, very much, and the main field coming through immediately behind them, trying to make sure that they don't get too far in advance of them. Tony Mills of the Ryle Raxar team is the next victim of a puncture, but the mechanics are not fast enough for Mills' liking, and it's probably a good job that his comments have not been recorded live. Eddie White of Mottrams decides to go it alone, but the bunch leave him to it, deciding that with 200 miles still to go, he won't make it without company, and will only weaken himself by producing such an effort at this early stage. About 10 miles further on, and White is still on his own, with the main field again not bothering to chase, and he has a lead of about 20 seconds. But his somewhat laborious style of riding seems to take a lot of effort. A small group has now detached itself from the main field, not much in it at the moment, as they negotiate a roundabout, with White having gone through a little earlier. You can see how easily they take the corners. Motor traffic has to slow down, but these experienced racing men go through at about 20 miles an hour. "76 miles have gone, and the riders collect their second breakfast of hot tea, meat sandwiches, hard-boiled eggs and fresh fruit. And it goes down very well too. Of the Falcon team leads the bunch up one of the many hills on this long ride to Holyhead. The pressure is on again now, but White is still out on his own and has no one to talk to for the past 15 miles, but perhaps receives some encouragement from the crowds who are beginning to arrive at the various points en route. Through Paisley now, with some more spectators, and still tightly bunched, all quite content to stay as they are. They're maintaining a steady average speed, and this will eventually tell on the weaker riders. Everyone now ready and waiting at the second feeding station, which is on the detour section of the race, and it's John Perks of the Falcon team who goes through holding a minute's lead, with Eddie White back in the main field after his lone 20 miles. The riders are now on the detour section on the outskirts of Wolverhampton, and already 130 miles have gone as they pass along this stretch of road watched by many people who never expected to see it. Normally the race stays on the A5, but because of roadworks this extra 13 miles has had to be added on, and now Bernard Burns at the front takes up the running in pursuit of his colleague John Perks. Perks is still away as he turns onto the Holyhead road with 124 miles still to go. The crowd shout their encouragement and wait for the bunch to come through. As they slow at the corner, some of them throw away empty feeding bottles, which will be picked up by the many souvenir hunters at the roadside. Disaster strikes. White collides with a parked scooter and brings down another rider, Mick Coward. The travelling ambulance is close at hand, and after a quick examination, plus the application of some sticking plaster, the two diehards are ready to press on. There goes Coward, and now White, with most of the skin missing from the fingers of his right hand, gets a helping push. Here's Perks now, just leaving Oaken Gates behind him, but the bunch are closing the gap very fast, and the Falcon rider will soon be caught. The speed is now just that little bit faster, and about 10 men have retired. Over the bridge and onto the Shrewsbury bypass, with the leading trio just staying clear of the main field. It's midday now, and they've been racing for 7 hours, but the hardest part is still to come. 25 miles together, and as they enter Wales to fight for the prize for the first man up this steep climb at Chirk Bank, it's a very close thing, and the honours go to Riles, who comes off Fairhead's back wheel to take the award. Now the interest centres on who will be up next, and it's Bill Holmes and Tony Mills who've decided that even with 75 miles still to go, the leaders should not be allowed to stay away. 1:10, says the church clock, as the bunch climb into Chirk, a good 10 minutes ahead of schedule and about 2 minutes down on the leading brake. Riles has dropped back, but Fairhead keeps going, setting a fast pace of about 30 miles an hour. Recognised more as a time trialist than a road racing man, he presses on. Riles sits up, content with winning the Chirk Bank Preem, and takes it easy, waiting for Holmes and Mills to join him and share the work. Together are moving fast in their attempts to pull back the lone Fairhead with the bunch about a minute behind them. Bill Holmes, winner of the 1961 Tour of Britain, takes a drink with Riles just behind him and Mills coming into view. Fairhead, still pounding away at the pedals, quite content, and as he looks back down the road, he's no doubt very pleased to find no one in sight as he takes a welcome drink from a wayside supporter. Through Llangollen, the trio are now chasing hard in pursuit fashion, realising there is just the possibility that Fairhead could stay away to the finish. But it's not to be. The four of them now join forces soon afterwards, and as the final feeding station is reached, Fairhead is dropped, and Holmes, Mills and Riles take their last feed, with Fairhead, a very tired man now, in fourth place. Bill Bradley, twice winner of the Tour of Britain and twice amateur champion, comes through ahead of the bunch, desperately trying to get with the leaders, and refuses the last chance of food. And just watch him go. One of the older men in top-class cycling today, he is also one of the toughest, and uses his head as well as his legs. Hitchin at the front of the bunch, and he is now soon to make the effort which will carry him up to the breakaway, now a good minute clear. Well into Wales now, the four leaders, but the bunch are closing the gap a little, and it's still very much anybody's race, except for the unfortunate Fairhead, who retires in a few more miles. Descending into Swallow Falls at 40 miles an hour near Betws-y-Coed, the breakaway numbers 5, but the bunch are in hot pursuit. And as you'll see in a few moments, despite interference by other traffic, manoeuvre their machines superbly on the corner. On the hard 5-mile climb up to Capel Currig, the brake is down to 4. Pete Edwards, Albert Hitchin, Bill Holmes and Tony Mills, who you see now. They're all suffering, especially the last two, who've done a lot of the work earlier on. halfway up the climb now, a good 45 seconds clear with Edwards leading. Then comes Holmes, Hitchin and Mills, swinging now right up the hill through a sleepy Welsh hamlet. Nearing the summit, there's only 3. Edwards has been dropped, approaching the line for the special prize, and Mills comes forward to take it, with the other 2 conserving their energy for bigger things. Behind them, about a minute down, is a bunch of about 10 men, all that's really left in the race, with 42 miles still to go. The humid weather is about to break as the storm clouds gather over the Snowdonia range. Pouring rain cools the leaders as they ride through the Nant Franken Pass to the applause of campers and climbers. They take the long descent into Bangor, now nearly 2 minutes clear. The rain has made the road slippery, but still the trio keep up the pressure, and they turn right out of Bangor and over the Menai Bridge for the last 25 miles. The cloudburst has scattered the waiting crowd in Bethesda as the bunch come through now, trying hard to pull back their deficit of nearly 2 minutes. At the Menai Bridge, Bradley again makes an effort and gets clear with Riles as the race enters its final phase. Across the Isle of Anglesey, Holmes keeps at the front, setting the pace for the other 2. All are now suffering from their efforts, but Holyhead is getting nearer. So they continue, Mills grimacing and holding on, knowing that to lose contact would be the end for him. You can tell from Holmes' face what it's like, and now they're in the last 10 miles of torture. Into Holyhead now, less than a mile from the line, and taking the sharp left-hand bend which brings them onto the Newry beach and a quarter of a mile from the finish. Over the last few hundred yards, Hitchin's sprint carries him to the front and victory, with Holmes second and Mills third. Their time for the 278 miles, 11 hours, 47 minutes and 6 seconds. Holmes' face tells the story of this grueling ride as Bill Bradley comes in alone for a well-deserved 4th place 3 minutes down. And now, a minute later, 20 men together in the sprint for 5th place, storming in over the final lung-bursting half-mile, jostling, pushing for position, elbows out, heads down, and all ready for a 30-mile-an-hour sprint finish, with Bernard Burns of the Falcon team bringing victory for them in the team race, taking the 5th position. And a lot of tired men afterwards, and a long, long drink for everybody. It doesn't take long to get one's breath back, and Hitchin mounts the victory rostrum to collect the winner's sash for the 2nd time in his career. The hero signs for the fans. But Albert, that iced lolly in front of the cameras. Thank you.